Welcome back to Factorio Masterclass. My name is Nilaus, and today we're going to do something that may be outdated, but with the schedule of the releases for Factorio, then it might not be outdated for years upon years, or maybe not at all. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a space casino, but not a space casino sort of in the end game state, but how do you get going on a space casino? And first of all, what is a space casino? Well, this is what we're looking at, and this is going to be our design challenge today. So I need to explain what it is. It basically is that it's a spaceship that takes asteroids in, and then you go through this process of redoing the asteroids or reprocessing the asteroids, because the asteroids here have a 80% yield, so that's much better than using the recycler, which has like a 20%, 25% yield. So here we can get an 80% yield, and then we can put two processors in here, and then that will give us a 8% chance of upcycling it. So we get 80% of our inputs come out, and 8% of that becomes a higher quality. And then you just have this repeated and over and over and over, and then it gradually will be, because there's a lot less loss in this. You can see in the middle lane here is where we are keeping all of the higher quality, so the higher quality will go into another part and then be scaled up to higher quality again, which will go down here, be scaled up to higher quality, and then ultimately it goes in as legendary quality asteroids. And we don't get a lot of those, but we do have a constant supply. In this case, we're making iron ore, but you can also shuffle it around and then make it into coal or calcite. Those are the three things we want: iron ore, coal, or calcite. Those are the three things, because coal becomes plastics, like legendary coal becomes legendary plastic, and legendary calcite can become legendary stone. So that also sort of opens up the stone process with stone bricks and concrete and all that stuff, if we want that. So this is but in this case we're just doing this one, and the objective is then, how are we going to do this? Because I have done this before, but I've done it at legendary level, and there are a few key differences between legendary level and rare quality. So I wanted to do a design that was both working for legendary, but also could be scaled down and work reasonably for rare quality levels, because you want to get it at rare quality and then have it going, and that will then feed your production of legendaries down the line. This means that it actually is the first thing we want to do is to make a legendary spaceship, because if we want to make a legendary spaceship, this is where we optimize it for the late game, the end state, and then we want to downgrade it to rare quality and see if it still works, make some tweaks. For example, will it be possible to shoot asteroids with lasers? Will we be able to grab enough? Will we be able to keep up with the fuel production? All those things we need to check once we've decided for the legendary quality. Now, the legendary quality here is set up, and this is the one we're going to be walking through. There are a few design principles of how to do this. First thing is, the way that these are generated is that the speed of the ship means that more is generated. The width of the ship means that more is generated. So you want a fast, wide ship. That is the design criteria. So this is why it looks the way it does. You can do some cheaty mechanics of just making a line. You can see these. If we do that, we should be able to sort of, they cast a shadow, but they don't cast an infinitely long shadow. So you could sort of make a bridge out here, walk really far down, and make another line of thrusters. I do not like that design, so that means the maximum speed we're going to be capped at here is 467 as we are approaching the planet. This ship is designed to fly between Nilaus and Volcanus, because all of our ships will be unloading on Volcanus, and Nilaus Volcanus is the safest path. It's also the one that yields the highest amount of but since I'm also relying on solar panels, it doesn't work if you fly to Fulgora. So keep that in mind for the rare quality. Keep in mind it works for the legendary, but not for the rare quality version. So let's have a look. So let's go down and into the details and go through how it actually works. So the first thing we want to do as part of our design is to set up these locations. I'm going to build this as legendary, and what we have here is a crusher for a legendary crusher with two legendary modules in, and we can see over on the right hand side it is recycling the oxide asteroid. And we can also see that the oxide asteroid recycling is twice as fast as the carbonic and the carbonic and metallic. So that actually means that this will be at a perfect ratio here. They will have the same speed, all of them. And that means this is going to be our unit. So that's the one thing. Then we want to get things in and out. And the way I want to do this is I want to say this is the inbound belt and this is the inbound belt, because I want this, and this is the outbound belt. So I want this to be grabbing from here. Nope. Get this a little bit further out. Yes. I want it to be grabbing from the closest one and then outputting on the same one if it is normal quality. Because most of it will be normal quality, because if I do it like this, actually let's get these the other way around. There, if I do this, since there's 40% chance that they will yield themselves, then they put out here its own thing, and then it picks it up. That means there will be some that just recycle, 40% will just recycle like this, and that means it doesn't take up any capacity. That means that in the inbound side, I have to go in on the inside belt, the top belt in this case, and down here on the bottom side of the belt. That's important because I want to make sure that I'm always able to output here and doesn't get the stuck. This is the most important part of this design, is that it should never get stuck. And then I will do anything that is uncommon or higher quality will just be put out on the middle belt. And I'll do that like this. And then we do the same thing. Flip it and then make it on this side. That is going to be our modular unit. That means that when we get over here to the end, then we want to consolidate this and get it back, because this belt will actually only contain normal quality because it comes from the asteroid collectors, so it'll contain only normal quality. So I will just need to sort of wrap this back somehow. Let's just do something like this here and like that, and that goes back here. Then the question becomes, how do we get this in here? So I want this to be going in, but I also want the newly refined, because some of it will run through. No matter how big I build this, there will always be some that has to be recycled, because each of these have a random output of 3 things. So no matter if the last one in the line could output something that he needs to go back in the loop. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I'm also going to make sure that I prioritize the stuff that's recycled so that it doesn't get lost or it doesn't get jammed here. Then I need to figure out how to get this thing here. I can do that and then get you in. Then that will be here. So now I'm getting 1/2 the right side of, let's say, this belt here. The right side of this belt is going here, and the left side of the belt is going in here. So that is definitely an option, and I can just get it a little bit closer. So this is about as close as I can make it, and still get it in here. Now let's do some testing of this, and we're going to use these here. And then I have built this monstrosity. This monstrosity is taking 1/2 belt out of each of these, and then it is merging it in here. So I will get exactly 30 per second of this one. And if I build that, let's say something like this, then it'll go in. It'll be spreading out on the side. It always takes a little bit of time to recycle, and then it'll now float around, and we should be seeing just a little bit of higher quality, uncommon or rare quality flowing out here. And that's the principle. So then the question becomes, how big should I make it? Let's make it so that it consumes about 1/2 a belt. You can see this belt is not really working very fast. We want to get it almost to 1/2 a belt. Not quite to 1/2 a belt, and we'll explain why. So now here we have another design. This design is actually able to handle exactly 1/2 a belt coming in here, which is nice because I'd want that. There is a compromise between the width of this and the number of collectors, because what we really want is we want to make sure that the ship is as flat as possible, but then using all the width here, because the more collectors we have, the closer we can get to a fully saturated belt. You can see this one is floating around here, and it's still, everything is able to be handled because it's coming in here. So what we should be seeing now is what we would like to see is that can I do this part here? And nope, that was not correct. That one. That one. No, this. So now I have looking at all of the content on this belt, and then if I get it up here, then we can see that it is completely unbalanced, and it just happens to be gradually unbalanced as it goes along. It's usually tend to be on the oxide, and I guess it's because this one is, even though it's faster, then there are fewer chances that it can pick up, and therefore it's easier to slip by this one and move on, because there's also like a big buffer in here of asteroids. So it's just a thing that we want to do. We want to make sure that we take these out. This one will be no recipe, and I'll get it down here as well. So I'm going to take this little thing. This is basically saying if the carbonic is greater, than that, then output as carbonic reprocessing, and so on and so forth. This one will then get inbounds from the belt, so it monitors what's on the belt and then says there's too much oxide. Cool. Then let's link this back here. Oops. There. And set the recipe so that they can self-correct. Here, and these two here, and these two here. And then we will see that it will gradually self-correct if we speed up and wait a little bit. Now we're at a point where they are even, and you can see they flicker a lot, and it's generally not a good idea to have flickering recipes because they tend to sort of input and output, but in this case it doesn't really matter, because it's only when there's like a blatant imbalance of one that it really needs to go on. Right now, if it just flickers recipes, that's fine, and then it changes recipes, then it goes like a few builds, and then it goes on. So this is fine. This is the modular build. We're going to be doing this for the green quality, the uncommon quality, the rare quality. The thing is, like, this is consuming a half a belt, so if I wanted to do this then properly, then I really should be doing it like this, because now I can have a build here that can actually consume a full belt, and up to a full belt. And you can actually see that it starts stuttering after long enough. It'll actually start stuttering, so it can't quite consume 30 per second, this one. But that's fine, because if I get a full belt of 60 per second, it's not going to go straight in here. I'm going to need some of it used for fueling before. So let's start making this one, the design that we need for this. So this is now the whole setup here, and what I've done is I've now built this one, which sends everything in even spread between all the different things. It doesn't look like it's even, but it is actually even. It's weird, but it is. And it goes in here, gets split out. I have an overflow so that it keeps going, and then we get overflow here, and then it goes in. From here it goes all the uncommon. Here the thing is, all the uncommon ones goes into the next build, but all of the rare quality or better sort of goes into the output of the next one, which then goes onwards. And again, this one is set up, and it'll consume, well, as much as it can. It goes down here, it consolidates the rare quality or higher. The rare quality or higher goes in here. It goes through, and I don't really care that the legendary and epic ones also go through. And it goes in here and keeps filtering, and then the epic quality here goes through, and then gradually a little bit of legendary goes to here. This legendary will then be made into a reprocessor in this tiny little space here. But this is basically what we want to do. So the next thing is going to get the inbounds. And I'm going to do this so that I can find the middle. What we're going to do is we are going to need some of this here. And then we are going to need one of these, which will be made there. And then here. This is going to be the module that we're going to be using. And there. And then it gets from here, and then this one. This will be basically the module that we're going to be using. Like this. it will just gradually consolidate everything onto one belt. And we got a little bit too far out here, and this one will also be a little bit different because it's the other way around, so this one can go here and go into this location, which will then go down. And then it just so happens that we could actually just build another one here, just because. And this can also be made here, get that out. That does not look correct. It has to be the other way around. There. And then that goes down here. Right, so this will also be working. So this is basically going to be as much as we can get. It'll go down here. And it'll go in here. And then what we need to get at this location is actually a refueling or a fuel module, which is something we already have built from other locations. So there's no reason for us to design it again. We might as well just use that from an existing build. It looks like this. So this one is a module. It produces hell of a fast. It's so fast, this one. Let's see. So 20,000 here. That is because that is how much we needed. So now the next part is, you can see there are already sort of rivets here, or whatever we can call it. And what we need to do is I want to show you a really cool design for this part here. I usually make a big V shape, but I don't need to make a V shape. I'm going to make like a flat surface here. And the way it works is that this here, and then that goes over to that location here, and then it goes here. Oops. Here. So now all of the fuel is now connected, and then we do the same thing except up here for the oxidizer, and we'll see that this will be exactly the same as well. There. Because this one feeds these two, this one feeds these two, and likewise, this one feeds these two. So this is actually a really robust pattern. I can do it like this, and then it'll just be propagated all the way through. And it just so happens that there is barely room below this. There we go. So that is our design for the fueling. Here. And then that one. And then the only thing we need is like a little like that. Good. So that's the refueling. Okay, so we got basically most of what we need. We also need to use any of these spaces up here for this. I don't know if I need it all the way here, but this corner is the weakest corner, so I want to squeeze in an extra here if I can. So now we have all of this, and that's replicated on the other side as well. So let's figure out what to do in this space. And, this space will be a little bit different, because this space will ultimately, we would want to have stuff like this in legendary quality, where we build this. So this is what we want, and we want it to have high productivity, because that's, and we then also definitely want a beacon to affect it there, but the beacon should not affect anything else. So that's a. We'll do this one. So we can squeeze it up here. Ooh, that's not a great place, because then it affects these two up there. Ooh, that's not great. Oh, I don't like that. Oops. Yeah, I wanted to squeeze it up here, but that's probably not a good idea. So let's try to take it down here and then see what comes of it. We might need to move some of this out here. There. So this beacon has to affect this. What is the difficult part about this is actually making sure that it doesn't jam. So we're going to start by getting something in here, and that has to go in on a yeah, it's, I want this to go in like this, because it has to go in on the inside, so that I can do this, and this will be the output of asteroids there, because this one has a return of 20%, which will be more with productivity, and there. Quality 100% productivity, good. So this part needs to roll back in here, and it has to go higher priority like that. That seems weird. So it goes in, and then it gets used. The priority has to be the recycled stuff on this loop has to be first priority. Therefore, it goes in first on this loop, and then supplementing with anything coming from the previous one. Yes, so this works. I could also do this. That would also be working, and then I'd take a little bit less space out here. There. Yep, that is working. Good. Or actually, I could. That doesn't make a difference. I could do this because it comes in on the inside and that comes in on the inside. So this is the loop. Can we test it somehow? Yeah, we can kind of test it. Let's test it up here. This one will make these ones in higher quality. And then I'll just make a... it doesn't matter what side it comes in. But then it goes around. Well, when you're going to stop rolling it around. Yes, okay. So this looks good. It is slowly filling up, and then it will gradually, at some point, it will stop filling up once this belt is full. Then it'll keep running, but the input, yeah, okay. So it'll get stuck, but that's okay. As soon as we get stuff outbound here, then that should also be fine. I am going to get stuff outbound. Let's see. This will be there. And this one just needs to go back in here. Good. Alright. So then we can see that it starts up again. It prioritizes the loop first and then supplementing with stuff that comes in here. Everything works fine. We're happy. Good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take the stuff that comes in and we want to make sure that it is reprocessed, because I'm also going to get like legendary carbonic, which I don't want. So legendary carbonic goes like that. And legendary ice also goes like this. These two. And they will no longer need they will no longer need quality modules because they are already legendary. So no, I just need to loop them around here. And these two has to be affected by the speed beacon. So this is just make sure that it's fast. Goes in, out, in, out, and this one can go. Let's do it like this. You're gonna go in here, you're gonna go in there, and I kind of need a higher priority for this. This can go. This one also needs to go back. So again, a loop, and then there. Same loop, same principle. That goes out here. When are we gonna be feeding it? We're gonna be taking it out this location. That's totally not what I wanted. Oops. Can you go a little bit further away? Or maybe you can go a little bit the other way. No, because it bumps into that. Okay, there's a little bit of a squeeze space here, but we'll figure it out. I could let this one go a little bit further up. That would give us a little bit more space, like that. Or this one. There. That gives it a little bit more space. And then this will only be taking the high quality iron out, and that will then go into this one. There. And you are going to be somehow outbound. There. The question is, this could be made a little go up. Yes. Like this. But now we have the other issue. No. This is all good. This is all good. These are affected. Everything is affected, but only this. And then you go out here and get put in to the box. Cool. That should work. Affected. Let's try and see this. Let's try and simulate this somehow. How do we simulate it the best possible way? I guess it's just sending it out. Yeah, let's complete it, and the way we want to complete it is we want to also set up some solar panels and accumulators, but that's only for the rare quality, so I don't have to do it now. So what I really want to do is just send it out, and let's take this for a spin and see if it works. The one thing that I hadn't done, which is kind of important, is to connect here and here. And on the other side, connect as well. This one is connected like that. And that should give us some fuel in here. Yes, they're working. And you are going to the next one. Let's go. So now we see our spaceship is flying. You can there are a number of things we want to check once it is flying to see if it performs okay. First of all, are these running at max speed? Yes, they are consuming 3000 per second, which is good. That's exactly what we want. We want every single one of these to work at high maximum. It doesn't matter about efficiency. This is all about speed. So they all want to be working at maximum speed. That is correct. Is it keeping up? Yes, it is keeping up. Good. Next thing is, do we collect everything, or is any of these small fragments hitting? If any of the small fragments are hitting the ship, that means there's a potential that we could have gotten that we didn't get. And it looks like maybe there's like a tiny thing over here in the corner where it can, if there's a lot coming in that, like that, it might be like a little bit in the corner, but we're still getting it. What we can also see is that if I had another one of these down here, like it really wouldn't get much. Like maybe once in a while they would get something that floats in. So having one on the side is fine. That keeps things that sweep down the side, but no more than that. Then what we can see is it a full belt? No, unfortunately it's not a full belt. And that's just the only way to get a full belt is either by making a ship go faster. That's not possible. Making a ship wider. If it goes wider, it gets slower. That's unfortunately how it is. So I could make it wider, but it's already wide enough, I think. And then those are the only ways that I can get more. If I add more of these here, it won't be able to collect because there's nothing that is not connected. Like adding more collectors wouldn't do anything. You can see this one is basically idle here and it's getting out here. So we're definitely having enough grabbers to grab everything. We are flying as fast as we can. So it's a balance of, if you want to make the ship better than this, you have to make it wider, and then it's just a different design. So it's always like a balance. But this goes in here. It goes in. First it goes past this module that gets us fuel and oxidizer. And then the remaining goes in, gets split. Half goes in here, half goes in here. And then any residuals will go out and get thrown overboard. So this is good. It goes through, goes through here. Rare quality comes in. Epic quality goes back. Legendary quality goes in. Legendary quality goes in and becomes a little bit of iron. So that is pretty neat, and that works. So this works. Then the next part we want to do is what if it's not the iron we want to make, but what if it is the calcite we need. So let's have a look at how we would change this to calcite. I'm going to block this up here so we have something plenty to go by. If we want to get calcite, then we want to recycle the iron like this and let the ice flow through, or the oxide flow through. That's here. This one will also change to the ice, and this one will change to the oxide one. Oh, it has to be legendary quality there. And then we see that there is a discrepancy here because we're not only getting the calcite, we're also getting ice, and ice has no use for us. So we need to figure out how to get rid of the ice. So this one can then be done as calcite because that's fine. Calcite will go in and it'll be happy. And this one, I'll just clean it out. But we're now getting stuck with the ice in here, so I need to find a way to get the ice out. Yes, we want ice out. That seems like a very reasonable thing to get ice out. That can go in here. And then we're going to take this one out, and I'm going to go with a recycler. Let's do it like this. This recycler going to take it inbound, and I will just smash some of these in, and then it can go out and back in. Yes. And then we just test it to see if it works. Goes through, we get some calcite, and the ice just goes in here and gets deleted. There. Works fine, because this just deletes the ice. So it's only like we sacrifice one storage space for this. So this is looking really nice as well, and gradually we'll be making it, and we can get the calcite, which will turn into stone on volcanoes with the help of some lava. Last thing, let's close this one off, is what if we want to make the coal, because coal is by far the most difficult one. So what we need to do is we need to actually say, okay, this one will then change to water. There. Nope, that's definitely not. Change oxide, that gets recycled. This one gets over to the carbonic. The carbonic loops around like this. This one will then be made into, again, legendary. There we go. And then we have this recycled here. And now the question becomes, okay, so what about these outputs now? That is going to be a lot more difficult. Because this will be... I'm going to take you out. I'm going to need some more space. I'm going to need some more space for this. Okay, because this is not actually outputting coal, it's outputting carbon and sulfuric acid. And carbon and sulfuric acid can be turned into coal with a bit of help. And that's by just doing this part here. This will be the carbonic. And this one will be the... there. Is that a reasonable way of doing it? Yeah, I think it works. It looks good. There. So now this has to go into a different location. It has to go into one of these locations. I'm going to leave it a little more space because I know it's going to need it. I think I'm going to leave it a little bit more space, then we can always compact it. This will be now the coal liquefaction thingy here. This one. And it also has to be legendary. That recipe. But it needs water, which is problematic. So what I also need to do here is... No, I'll make the mistake and then we'll figure it out. Then this comes back out and goes back in here for insert into there. So this should work if we get some water in. The thing is, the water, we can actually get that from here. And I could drag it this way, but I'm going to need that space. So I'm actually going to drag it up here in a little bit of an annoying way, but that's just how it is. So we now have the water dragged up on this line and going in. So this is working. Let's give it a shot and figure out why it's not working. Or what is not working about this. So let's see. What comes in here? We're getting out. They're coming on the same bar. Okay, well that's definitely not working. That needs to be adjusted somehow. There we go. This is now improved. So now it goes out evenly here. So what we should be seeing is that over time, which is not what we're seeing here, by the way, we will be seeing that there will be a surplus of yeah, there will be a surplus of calcite here. This one has stopped working because it got stuck before. There we go. The problem was, of course, that this was not set to legendary, so it was getting stuck with way too much ice that it couldn't get rid of. Now it works perfectly, no need to worry about that. Okay, so what we're seeing now is that in here, first of all, this needs beacons because it needs to be fast, so that can actually consume this. There we go. This is working faster, and that's lovely. But what we're seeing now, as you can see here, we are having way too much sulfuric acid, sulfur, and that's because this is making 5 plus 2, and this is consuming 5 plus 1. So obviously this is going to be an issue, and what I need to do is I need to simply cut this out there and take any surplus out there. And let's see, any surplus out here, and that would be making it into, I mean, I kind of want to just make it like this, and that would be into here. And oh, it has to definitely go right. And why are you not working? You're not working because you don't have the water, so let's fix the water here. There we go. Water is now fixed, yes. And you're not outputting because like that. Okay, so I want this to be outputting so that we can actually see that it doesn't go in here unless it absolutely has to, and that it'll only be sulfur that goes out, because that's kind of important that it's only sulfur that goes out on this belt here. Actually, I can make it even further safe like this by just making sure that it is only sulfur that goes out on this belt here. Like that. That goes in, and that gets basically consumed. I just needed to also be able to output like this, and if I can only do it, and I can do it like this. There. Like that. So now it circulates nicely, and all this is working. I will just get this a little bit cheaper. There we go. So unfortunately I can't get this one, but this is now a really compact build that will then make all this. And we can see only the sulfur, when it is overstacking here, will go out. Looking good. Cool. So that means the 3 different variations of this, and now we have all these builds. So the next question would be like, okay, so how does it work if it's only working in rare quality? So that's just basically taking the whole ship and turning it into rare quality and seeing how it works. So this is now the spaceship from before, but it is in rare quality only, and I just switched back to the iron build here. So all this, if we look at the quality, look at all this, it's in quality everywhere. In rare quality, everything that makes sense to make it in rare quality. So this is good. Then what we want to see is it working? Oh, I want more of these. These have a tendency just to run out when I'm just testing things. Quality here. Well, this looks okay, but let's take it for a spin and see what happens. Nothing good, I would imagine. Nothing good at all. We can see we're going out here. Nothing is going to be shooting. It is flying a lot slower. The other one was flying at 467, but this one is flying at 349. So it's a little bit slower, this one. Obviously, because it only fires at rare quality, and that means the maximum consumption is 192 instead of 300, and that affects the thrust. And then it goes up to 370 on the way out. So now what we can see here, what is important, we have issues, and that is a problem. Obviously that's a problem. So this is what I've found out is that we can actually I'm just gonna park it here if it can get safely back here. It kind of almost is viable, but only just almost. So what I'm doing is I am going to take some rare quality here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, this one, like that, and there's room for exactly this one on the other side as well. There. Then I am going to take some of these. And that goes here. Oops. Oh, it stuck. It stopped. There we go. If we now send it out again for another spin. There we go. Then we take it for another spin, and we're just going to speed it up a little bit more so we can see. And let's have a look at the power now. We are not getting a massive amount of extra power here, but we are getting a little bit of extra. It's only like, yeah, in this case, 50 extra megawatt, but it is enough. See here, it flickers. This one should not flicker, because as it goes up here, it should continue on the charge. And even so, it'll be worst when it is around Vulcanus. This is the reason why you want to fly between Nilaus and Vulcanus with this ship, because it can't endure all the shots that are coming from between Gleba and Fulgora, for example. It'll be simply too much. This one is, on average, good enough. You can cram in some more accumulators if you want to, everywhere you want. I don't like the aesthetic of that, but I'm going to use this. There is one caveat, and that is I'm using rare quality fusion reactors and fusion generators. Those are not something I'm actually building previously, but they is something that you sort of can get incidentally by looking at your Fulgora and then just cramming in as many modules quality modules here, then as you produce these for your other spaceships, you're going to be ending up with a few higher quality ones, and those are the ones we use for this first space casino. Or you could just recycle it, make a recycler like we've done with the other things. In this, it's very expensive, but over time you can definitely just get these for just a few of these. And it is necessary, you can't make do with it. Oh, that's the template, it's the rare one, this one that we want to show. So this one's working. You can see that this is online summertime and then it goes offline. So when it stops, that means it's fully charged, and you can see that how much of energy it's being consumed out of this once in a while. Luckily, you could say that when it's close to the volcanoes, we have better solar panel, but we also have more things to do. There we go. But it barely goes down to 99% here. So when it flickers, it's not really getting anything. The reason why this one is flickering a little bit is because the draw from all of these shots is more than we can drag out of the accumulators, because I don't have a lot of accumulators here. So this is why this one can sometimes flicker a little bit red, yellow, not red, yellow, but I don't care. It's fine by me. I wanted to cut it close because I wanted this to be optimized. And here we have it. This is the optimized belt. We can, since this is running for a while, we can see that this one is generating about 900 legendary iron ore per minute, which is really a lot actually. This is with only rare quality. If we look at the legendary quality, this one is this is reconfigured into something else. So yeah, I need to reconfigure it back to that. But it is generating about 4,000 iron ore per minute with the legendary, and one about 900 with rare quality. So I think that's very, very valuable. This will definitely get you going once you have 1, 2, and 3 of these ships. Once you have 3 of these ships, then you're just good to go. There is also the option of not re-processing this and having everything being processed into iron ore and coal and calcite immediately, but then you're losing this sort of adjustment for ratios. So I prefer having 3 different ships, even though it takes more cost. You're definitely going to need it, and you have these 3 ships chugging along, generating all the stuff you need, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore, because then you get all the legendaries you want. Next episode, we're going to be looking at the LDS shuffle until that gets nerfed, and then we're going to move into upcycling of blue circuits. So I hope you enjoyed this rather lengthy episode. It's always when you design spaceships it gets really long, so I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. These blueprints are available for patron supporters as usual, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay effective.